Okay, now can you hear me? Okay, that has appeared to work. Basically, just echoed there. But can I do it without having this on screen? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Okay, we figured out how the audio works. It's just funky with the software. Okay, so we are on Ultimate Mod. Volume's low. Okay, I'll try to lift it up. Okay, that appears to be here. I'll just move the mic closer. That could help. Okay. We're playing on Ultimate Mod, which isn't normal for me because I personally am not a fan of Ultimate. One of the main reasons is to just look at how small the units are. I have to like squint just to see them. So that's my issue with Ultimate. I love how things are so much more simple, like when it comes to having all the units, assigning missions, assigning damage, and so on. But like I can't see what's going on here. Like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to play again. Anyway, let's talk about the actual gameplay itself. Moncal, Naboo, and Ryloth for Rebels, and Megiddo, Mandalore, Seleucami, Corellia, and Mustafar for Empire. Now, Loyal Seleucami, which is good because the last two games that I commented, it wasn't Loyal Seleucami, and we had to go with route setup, which I'm even less familiar with. I'll make this chat smaller. One of the other things with Ultimate is that the chat it just gets a bit messy sometimes. Okay. Um, Okay, not pretty standard setup. Death Star in Mustafar. Um, Pretty aggressive move, I'd say. Hoth and Andor is definitely not going to be the base for Rebels. I'd say that's the reason you put Death Star in Mandalore or Mustafar. That's one of the key reasons why I see players doing it. But then again, regarding the tournament, if you're new here, which we don't get many new players, but if there are any, there's links to the Discord in the channel description and other YouTubers who have commented games. I haven't commented one in like a while, so which is not good because like I want to have as many games under my belt. We're already on to lower bracket round one, so that's a pretty scary thought. Um, yeah. Here, I'll put that comment up. I should remember to do that. Um, Definitely interesting choice to put the Star Destroyer in Corellia, not Coruscant, because I think that Death Star covers that era part of the map. But then again, Utapau loyalty is coming no matter what. So perhaps Death Star going to Utapau. But if Death Star is the one going to Utapau, which it most likely is, then Hoth and Endor might actually become an appealing base. But then again, maybe that's why the Star Destroyers are in Corellia. So not sure. Interesting to think about. As I was saying about the tournament, um, join the Discord if you haven't already. Um, we're in lower bracket round one. This week is going to be a bit chaotic because we're going to have upper bracket round two and lower bracket round one going on in the same week. But there are some games in lower bracket round one that need to be played before, and upper bracket round. It's a whole thing, but we're trying to figure out. And of course, we can extend the week if we need to finish up a couple of games. I played my first game because I wasn't supposed to play, but someone had to drop out, so I took that person's spot. I played 87, which was an embarrassing game for me. I played Rebels. My preferred faction is Empire, so didn't go too well. Okay, it looks like 3PO for Rebels, and 3PO is this card. I should remember to do that as well. Basically, pass the diplomacy mission if you fail it, and no Modi for Empire. I'd say so. Regarding the two players, I have heard the list. I've heard a lot about Stack as a player, which makes sense because the poll is right now 1783 with Kecho and Stack. Kecho played Nico in their previous game, and Wombat recently played Nico. You could look back at the title cards at the beginning of the stream. So, Rebel Base, let's think about it. Like I said, with Hoth and Endor, obviously very, 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 very risky because Mustafar The Death Star and Mustafar is going to Utapau most likely, but there are still Star Destroyers in Corellia, so who knows? I'd say that Tatooine is a if I'm playing Rebels, which I'm not the best Rebel player, so don't take my word for it, but I would pick either Tatooine or the Ilum Dantooine kind of region. And then Mothma 3PO, that's pretty standard. Yeah, pretty even start, I'd say. Sometimes things can get pretty messy with the starts, um, especially for Rebels, but I'd say pretty even. I mean, they get a guaranteed Ryloth, which is always nice. Always nice to have Ryloth, and guaranteed Naboo. So, again, propaganda, things like those cards. Fear will keep them in line, always an issue. So, nothing is ever guaranteed in Rebellion, but overall, yeah, I agree. I would probably pick Ilum. Ironically, Ilum was the base that I chose against 87, and I did not win that game, but that went pretty horribly for me. But this is about Kecho and Stack, so let's see how this goes. Pretty fast with the missions is Kecho. Normally, Rebels should be playing missions first. It's not normal to have two fleets right next to each other in Seleucami and Mandalore, because that can leave other parts of the board open. But then again, Seleucami fleet going to Moncal and then cover the Yavin Dathomir area, and potentially Mandalore fleet head up to Toydaria. But then again, that leaves Ilum as a good spot for the base. Which position would you want with this start? Like, do you mean which side? If I was equally good at playing both sides, I'd say this is a pretty decent Rebel start, especially with Naboo. But I'm too biased to Empire all the time. So, which by the way, I will be playing my next game as Empire. That will be tomorrow. I didn't record my last game that I played with 87. Probably a good thing for me. Yeah, probably a good thing for me because that was a bit of an embarrassment. But I will record the next game. If you go to Wombat's channel, it's in the description. That was a good game. That was definitely a good game. So that he played against Nico, I think it was. So definitely watch that game. Rebels building loyalty in Naboo, pretty standard. What I didn't talk about, and again, Ultimate Mod being Ultimate Mod, was the Rebel deployment in Utapau. Normally, it's 3 troopers and a transport. This time, it's 3 troopers and a Y-wing. I guess forcing an AC not to go there, but then again, the Death Star is probably going there. R&D in Coruscant makes sense since the sabotage happened in Mustafar. May as well just play R&D. And a infiltration. Okay. Yeah, Eiddee and Cornell, I think, was the recent game. Definitely have to watch that one. Not caught up with all the different games. Fleet moving to Ord from Mandalore with the Gazanti or AC. I'm guessing Ilum, base suspicion. I mean, but Ord is always a good plan to get for the extra assault carrier. So, and fleet moving to South. Is that, and the Death Star is also moving to South. Interesting. Okay, so planning to take it out next turn? Maybe? I don't know. That's an interesting move, to be sure. That's a lot of forces in Sauce. but I don't know. Um, would it have been better to just move the Death Star to Dagobah? Could be, but then again, it's very odd that you'd see the Empire move away from Utapau, because Utapau, for new players, potentially rewatching the stream, Utapau is the planet to get for Rebels every single game, every single time. There's no question about it. So it's very odd to see the Empire move away from Utapau, yeah. But then again, it did leave a sabotaged Mustafar, so that's no longer a concern for different objective cards. But that also leaves Hoth and Endor's system pretty open, especially if the entire fleet is going to Utapau. Yeah, here I'll put that comment on screen. Ilum is always a risky base to choose. Um, I like it for whatever reason, but if you ask like Dubes, who is watching the game right now, um, because I failed to catch a lot of the mistakes made by players, Ilum is definitely a tricky base to play because they can find you on turn one and kill you like they did me last game that I played, or they could, or you could win the entire game from it. So one of the things I like about Ultimate, few things, because again, these units are so small. I cannot count how many TIE fighters are in that system. I couldn't. I could do it on Extender. But one thing I like is that they put little stars on the units so that you can tell which units are going to be deployed. Definitely a good thing about Ultimate. But like, come on, does it need to in chat say player drop this and then they switch it to put it in a different place? So player drop it. Like, come on, no, unnecessary. I should stop hating on Ultimate because a lot of players like it. One thing I will say nice about Ultimate is that there are so many custom things. I haven't tried many of them because I feel like a lot of them are unbalanced. I mean, for me making a couple um, custom mods for Rebellion, which if you haven't already, join the server. It's all posted in custom content. Yeah, a lot of things can feel unbalanced. But missions, okay, hold on. 3 Imperial missions. Again, they can change it up because Rebels do missions first, but 3 Imperial missions, odd, to say the least, this early on. But perhaps they got a good mission draw. I don't know. Trade negotiations. Fear will keep them in line. Propaganda. We didn't talk about the leaders. Jabba, again, because they're so small. Jabba for Empire. Early pick Jabba is interesting because he can't move units, and that's the whole thing. Lando for Rebels. Lando, always a good leader. Just always a good leader. For both of his cards, independent operation especially. If you play around it, the impact it has can definitely be minimized, but you really have to know your stuff as Empire. Um, every card, you've got to know what it does. Every leader, it's gotta be a factor in your decision making. Let's see. So there is definitely a move to Dagobah or Naboo this game to cover Utapau. That's happening for sure. Whether it's with the Death Star and the AC or just the Death Star is up to um, Kecho. Um, that's interesting. Will they play probe cards or diplo cards? I mean, considering that Jabba and Vader are on missions. I mean, no, they couldn't throw an early interrogation out there. I don't think interrogation would be the play. I mean, Vader and Jabba, it's quite risky. I mean, potentially Vader on collect bounty, Jabba on, I mean, really any interrogation mission. But again, interrogation missions this early are unnecessary to say the least, because they can just be so easily countered. Okay, here I'll put that comment up as well, even though it blocks the screen a little bit. Yeah, capture and lure. Now imagine this. I can't remember the card, but draw them out with Taj, then capture, then lure. That would be quite something. I mean, I hate Leia as much as the next Imperial player, so I mean, it'd be fun to see it go off. But considering that Jabba is on subversion, that's unlikely. So Jabba's subverting a sabotage. I'm guessing this is to play Jabba's ring card. When any leader fails a mission And no, but that wouldn't work. Used after any leader fails a mission in the system. Yeah, okay. I was right. Um, Jabba's card. I really hate this card. This card, Post Bounty and I just have a very, very bad hatred between each other, which I will definitely carry on to my children. Um, yeah, I can never pull that card off. And when I remember this game against Dubes, I tried it like 10 times. Um, maybe over exaggeration, maybe like more like 4 times, but still, that was not a fun game. Uh, that I just don't like that card. I think it's too gimmicky. It's kind of like Vader's starting action card, just too gimmicky to pull off. But if you do pull it off, can be very powerful. So as we predicted, Tarkin moving to Naboo to crush the rebels on Utapau. Lando doing rapid mobilization. Now this is something that we didn't see a lot in the previous games. Playing rapid mobilization every single turn. My friend and I, that's how I got into Rebellion first by playing the original board game. He loves rapid mobilization, and the reason why is you get to see 4 probe cards, and then you put them at the bottom if you choose not to move the base, which on most turns, especially this early on, you would choose not to move the base. Now, the reason that's good is you know which planets the Imperial player can't see, so you can either bluff or plan for future when you do have to move the base. You know what cards there are, so we obviously allow writing things down, like you write down which cards you saw, because I mean we all forget things. Okay, like all the base missions looks like Ratmo, infiltration, sabotage, and probably build alliance with Mon Mothma. Another R&D, um, as an Imperial player starting off, I loved R&D to my detriment. It's not always the best card to play. Wow. Okay, hold on. Hold the R&D talk. Collect bounty. So we kind of got it right with the collect bounty, but subversion was the card for Jabba, so we're kind of just collecting a bounty for fun, I guess. John collecting a bounty in Sauce, and he got it. He definitely got it. Um, I don't see why you wouldn't try collect bounty on Riken. No, attach the ring. When that leader has captured the I don't see why you don't try it on Riken. Sure, it's not 100% guaranteed, but I'd say it's better than nothing. No, doing a bit of a roll there. And Mothma building an alliance in Solace. And if you're a Rebel player, you know what this is. This is, I'm 90% sure the objective have all systems, popular systems in a region have Rebel loyalty, which all these do. Yep. See, I am apparently too good at commentating, but when it comes to the actual game, I start slowing down. But yeah, objective cards scored early on. Rule number 1 of Imperial players: stop Rebel objective cards. Start a level 1 objective cards from being scored. If you do that, you can be pretty good. I think the first game that I commented, that was a very, very, very tough game for objective cards for Rebels. I'm pretty sure like none were scored until at least 3 or 4. So Rebels recruit Chewbacca, Chewie. Not bad. Chewie's a great leader, obviously. 3/5 leaders. The Empire normally has the Rebels normally have a shortage on those, so Chewie can always be good. And Death Trooper, Krennic's finest for Empire. With this card, again, pretty decent card. If you play it right, you can pull out some pretty crazy captures with it. Pretty crazy. I've seen like you throw this card out, then you deploy units. Try to win the game. You could make some pretty plays with this card, but or you could just sit there the entire game. So, like many Rebellion cards, it can either be really good or really bad. Leaving some stuff on the queue are the Rebels with a bit thrown into the base, I'm guessing. A little bit of reinforcements in Ord. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to see. Like even on my screen where I have it, like it's pretty decent monitor. It's hard to see the units. Yeah, so a couple things being thrown down here. Mainly reinforcements. And is that the bunker? Yeah. Oh my God, how am I supposed to know that's a bunker? Um, so yeah, bunker also being left on the queue, probably for Death Star in Geonosis. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. But Rebels are getting to those level 2 objective cards, so you've got to be careful. Yeah, one thing I have heard about these players is that they play pretty fast, um, which can be, which obviously can, affect how you play the game and so on. Um, but yeah, what do you mean the probe changed? How could it have changed if it was already there? I I'm not experienced enough in Ultimate to understand all the rules, and we just lost Dubes. Um, especially obviously he's still in the chat probably, so he can comment on that front, but we'll see. Okay, looks like both players are just fine with it, so that's the thing. Okay, so 3 missions for Empire, uh, 5 missions for Rebels. Standard, nothing to think about there. What is not standard is Riken with the Jabba ring and John being captured and now moved to Bespin, and potentially having a bit of interrogation done to him, considering Jabba and Palpy are both on missions. Yeah, John's not going to have a good time. Now, Riken is in the base, so unlikely that Riken is going to get in with the action. Um, Currently, he has the lure. No, not the lure ring, the bounty ring. Um, but you can only capture him if he's in the system, and right now he's in the base, and you don't know where that system is. So Riken's pretty safe now. And since Collect Bounty was already played, going to be a lot harder to capture Riken. Again, I'm not sure why they didn't capture Riken when he was in Toydaria, but what do I know? Leia getting more Moncows on the queue. They look like little pickles, if anything, in Ultimate. Um, Whatever. Okay, Jabba ruled by fear. Interesting. Yeah, the striker is there. Like, I have to clarify that the striker is there. Like, come on, what is this game? And wow, okay, that is pretty laggy on the screen, but the audio is fine. It's like, why is the screen lagging so much? I need to investigate that later. Okay, so I'm not sure why we did the loyalty shenanigans in Sauce. Potentially just want to cut down on loyalty, but then why not do it in Naboo? Not sure. Not sure. Um, Death Star is definitely taking a trip to Utapau to shut it down. So I think I talked about this before. In Rebellion, there's kind of fleets, places that fleets should be gathered. So Toydaria, Mandalore, Celis, and Geonosis. That's like the 4 planets to gather them. Obviously, if you're checking the map, definitely watch Wombat's game against Nico, because he showed a lot of the planning that Imperial players do. Right now, we're just spectating, so we can't see the Imperial players' missions. But in my game tomorrow, hopefully, I will record everything and then post it as a video, potentially with commenting. Depends on the amount of time that I have. I mean, if I have enough time to stream this, then I should surely have enough time to edit a video. Trade negotiations in Bespin? Yeah, Bespin. Interesting switch on Bespin, to be sure. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you do that. Yeah, I mean, potentially stop objective cards if the base is there. If the base is on Hoth or Endor, stop like those um, destroy all ground units and in a subjugated system. So potentially that, I guess. Hit and run in Moncal. That's pretty rough on the AC. You see, if you're playing Ultimate and you play hit and run, why do you have to still do it like you do it in Extender, where you have to put it in the casualty spawn? I thought it was automated. I don't know. I don't know. Um, Interesting. So is the Dessler going to Utapau? If it were me, I think I would do it. But then again, also move to Geonosis. That also works. And here we go. Public uprising in Moncal. Yep, I could definitely see that coming in a way. Yeah. Objective card? Potentially. Probably. Okay, how does ultimate work? Like, when are the units going to go over here? Okay, there you go. Or I can just show this. Okay, well, looks like a pretty definitive rebel victory if you ask me. To be sure. I thought ultimate was all automatic. Like, why did the airspeeder have to move there? It's clearly a ground unit. Okay, I should stop. I should stop. Yeah, definitely, clearly a rebel victory for this one, and potentially a objective card scored as well. Deal a damage and prevent 2 black hits. Yeah. Now, I mean, now it's unlikely that any ships are lost, other than obviously the U-wing, unless a black heel is rolled, which is unlikely. So 1 ship lost. Pretty fair trade for rebels. Okay, now hold on. A crit was played instead of a crit was played instead of a hit, so they were able to avoid the prevent 2 black hits. Interesting. So correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the chat. I don't think you can play win a space and a ground battle if you basically shot each other and you both died. But I could be wrong, because technically you didn't really win. No, I really need to clarify this because I keep mentioning it. So rebel victory in the end. Let's see if an objective card is played. No objective card. Okay. Uh, interesting. Death Star to Geonosis, standard, or Star Destroyer to Bothaway. Okay. Like, oh, come on, seriously, look at Ultimate. Player drop Tarkin and Bothaway. Player drop Tarkin and Silicamai. I mean, like, the players are thinking about their decisions. Ultimate, you don't have to write down every single time someone puts something somewhere. Okay, so beefing up the forces in Silicamai, running away from the Tatooine area, I guess, because the Death Star is going to Geonosis anyway. But I don't know. Do you really have to keep that big of a stack right now? I mean, I guess two Moncals are on the way next turn, so I guess we'll have to see. So, Dathomir revealed by the probe. What does this tell me? This tells me... But no, there's no way. This tells me Death Star 2. Oh my goodness. Why do I... Why... Why... Why can't I use this skill in an actual game? Wow, okay, Death Star 2. Death Star 2. Everyone watching right now can think the same thing. That's not normal. Yeah, okay, Melly's right. Nobody wins if there's no units. Death Star 2 on Dathomir. Not normal. Something I definitely didn't expect to see in a tournament game. Death Star 2 is generally a very, very bad project card. Because it's just another weakness that you give the rebels to attack. Death Star 2 is very, very few situations I've played. I've seen so many custom things where they try to fix the card, and some of them look really good. And I wish that they thought about this when making this game, that the Death Star 2 is just not a good card. Here, that's a pretty long one. I'll put that up. Good point. Potential Rebel Cell and Moncal. We saw that in one of the previous games that I streamed. Definitely potential there. Now, hold on. Recruitment. Ozzel has entered the chat, and Luke for the Rebels. Ozzel, if it's Ozzel's card. Now, last game, against 87, I lost, and Ozzel was the first recruit, but it wasn't Ozzel's card. It was proceeding as planned, which actually turned out to be better to have him because he used it to grab a laser, and that's the whole thing. So, interesting. Interesting to have Ozzel. I no longer trust that. My general mentality was, if you recruit Ozzel, you recruit him with catching them by surprise. Because if you recruit him with proceeding as planned, there's so many weaknesses or so many possibilities that you might catch them by surprise, and now you're just going to be down a leader. It's sure it's a good card, but you're going to be down a leader. So I always recruit him with Derrode. But since that game, I'm definitely not putting it past myself to see a Ozzel recruitment, not with catch them by surprise. One thing that's great about Ultimate is obviously the units being placed. That's so much easier, and I love it. Makes it go by faster. Plenty of deployment for Empire. I'm still shocked at that Death Star 2 play. I mean, if Empire wins this game, this will be a game to watch, to be sure. Yep, 2 Death Star gameplay. 2 Death Star gameplay. I mean, if the base is on Yavin or Dantooine, and Rebels have Death Star plans, which they very well could with the level 2 objective card, then the Death Star 2 is dead. But potentially, Kecho got Dantooine and Yavin as probes, so Death Star is secure. I don't know. I don't see why both players are assigning missions at the same time. If I'm playing Empire, I want to have every single advantage. So definitely, I mean, play in these tournaments. I mean, I think plenty of people watching right now are competing in the tournament. Um, if you're playing in tournaments, play vigorously, play by the rules every single time. In my game against 87, I forgot to play a mission that was pretty important. And I offered to, or asked to switch, and he said no. And I completely respect that. It makes sense. I mean, this is a tournament. You want to get first place, so I agree. You see, there was a mission switch up. So was that done because they saw the Imperial missions? I don't know. What I like to do for missions is, especially if I want to play some early, just get it on the board. Is just stack them in one pile. I don't know if you can do that in Ultimate, but I know you can do it in um, Xander, which is the one that is linked in the channel description. If you want to, um, if you want that, it's on Tabletop Simulator, which you do have to pay for, but the mod itself you don't have to pay for. Although if you are considering buying TTS, I mean, it's good. Even not even like, not for Rebellion, for other things, and it's not that much. I mean, I think it's 14 Canadian dollars, so um, fairly fairly affordable. Gathering some intel are the Empire. Just looking through the probe cards a bit. Looks like the Death Trooper is doing a bit investigation in Endor. Now that was one of the potential base locations that we talked about at the beginning of the stream, um, but clearly not one of the um, one of the base options. I'm still guessing Ilum because if I was Rebels, I would choose Ilum. Ilum or Tatooine, really. That's my best guesses. Obviously, could be Ryloth, but Ryloth would be risky because the Death Star is clearly going up there. But Ilum would also be risky because the Death Star is clearly, or the Death Star 2 is clearly in Deathmere. So that's why they recruited Luke, seek Yoda. Um, Broken Luke is on the way, getting some training with Yoda. So interesting leaders. So Rebels or Empire gets Awesome, and Rebels get Jedi Luke. So I mean, to be fair, I'd say this is a fairly even game. I mean, one reputation has been scored for Rebels. Empire has gotten some pretty good coverage of the map. So pretty balanced game. Right now the poll is 14 and 86 for Kecho and Stack. I think it's a bit closer. Like just look at the game right now, but obviously you can't change your vote. The poll says it was posted 19 hours ago. I accidentally posted it before the stream even started. John still captured in Bespin. Clearly, there aren't any good interrogation missions because I would be playing them. That's the thing about capture. There have been many games that I played that I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a capture game. I'm gonna capture some leaders. It's gonna be fun, and I get like collect bounty as one of my first cards. I'm like, yes, this is gonna work. Obviously, you judge it by the systems and so on, but you decide it's gonna be a capture game. Normally, route setup or route deck is better for capture. Um, So, you choose that it's going to be that, but then you never draw any interrogation missions, and potentially this is happening right now, or they're saving John. Potentially, it's a trap. Not sure. Both starting action cards have not been played for Empire, so we can speculate on what that might be. Taj and Vader, probably two of the lower end tactic cards, um, or action cards. Sorry, to get. Um, Pretty big economy for rebels. Lots of ships on the table. 3 Moncals out the gate. Not what you want to see in a tournament. So pretty rough on that front. So Empire's gonna have to get some ships out, and Death Star 2 potentially is the solution. Maybe not getting enough good project cards. I mean, I love project cards. I think they're so much fun. But it's a real gamble. Checking on Kessel are the Empire for the base. Kestel, I wouldn't consider it a potential base location, but watch me eat my words because look at my fleet was right there, and I just ate my words. Oh my goodness. Why do I say things like that? Yeah, Kessel's the base. So not any of the planets that I listed, but Empire about to have a bit of a surprise, especially considering more Moncals and reinforcements for the fleet are on the way. Vader leading the assault on Kessel. We are what? Um, let's see how much we're into the stream. About an hour into the stream, almost exactly, and already discovered the base. That's not normal. But you've got to consider that just finding the base is step one. Now you've actually got to destroy it, and this battle is very clearly favored to the Empire. Look at Ultimate being beautiful there. So what's the play as rebels? Do you hunker down and just wait here, wait until a big enough force, and then jump out of the base, or do you just get out of the base right now? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, there is a Star Destroyer left in Kessel or in Silicon, I think. So yeah, well played by Kecho, suspecting that the base is on Kessel. Very well played, I'd say. Even I didn't. I should have suspected that. Kecho thought, because why would you leave the Star Destroyer? But I guess you can move the fleets around. Okay, I'm talking too much. Yeah, I think Vader might die here. Ground tactic card for Rebels is oh yeah, also Star Destroyer and Tadari. Although I don't think you can do too much because there aren't sufficient ground units there. But yeah, there are forces around Castle, so Rebels do have to think about getting out of here. But tactic card for Rebels is basically on that turn, if you kill all the Imperial ground units, kill the Imperial leader. And losing Vader early on is not good, especially if you don't have any other fist leaders. Of course, Kecho does have a fist leader, that being the Death Trooper. So not as big of an impact, but losing a leader is still, excuse me, a massive loss in this game. You don't want to lose leaders left and right. Again, for anyone watching who is part of the tournament, this game started at like 4 p.m. EST. So that's like my prime time on weekdays. On weekends, it's normally pretty open, but I would love to stream more games. I think it's so much fun to commentate this. I mean, obviously, preparing all this, working with Spoonwise and PiotrB, that's been great. Um, so, but commenting is just another great part of that. Imperial fleet pretty much wiped. Um, a bit of damage done to the Corvette and a Y-wing taken out. But just, I mean, there's not much to expect from this battle. I mean, Empire was going to lose. It's just how definitively. Now, that is not good. 2 air speeders down right now with how much damage? 3 damage on each of them. That's not a good roll. That's not a good roll for Rebels. Yeah, so it looks like they crushed the fleet or the ground forces using the airspeeder card. So no Vader dead, or are they just gonna stack damage on the AT-AT to try and kill Vader later on? Yeah, Vader's gonna die here. I was right. Yeah, just gonna play a card and kill Vader. But this fight did not go as it should have. Confrontation. Yeah, that's the name of the card. Basically, kill the leader. did they have the opportunity to retreat? Melly? I'm not sure. I'll have to replay that for sure. But in conclusion, this fight not great for the rebels. Killing Vader's fine, quite good if anything, but losing 2 speeders is not good at all. Because how are you going to take out any of the armored units now? In my opinion, I mean, 2 speeders down, we gotta go for the base. We gotta go. And 2 Star Destroyers in the air, minimal ground forces, but 2 Star Destroyers is still definitely something to fear. To fear, to be sure. Build alliance in Seleucami, minimizing the impact of the Castle attack by potentially doing some shenanigans there. So, I mean, right now I have to say, Kecho playing Empire is doing very, very well. And hold on, whoa, 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 whoa. Someone in chat, is this the right play? What? Why would you go? I don't understand. Why would you? Okay, Palpy's card, and Palpy has 3 space and 2 ground, so good tactics. But why would you go all in? Yeah, I agree with Melly. Why wouldn't you just prepare to attack the base next turn? There's ample time. There's ample time to get the base. What? I don't understand this move. Because don't you lose the space battle? Especially with the Moncal card being played? Yeah, there's only one scenario, which is Empire loses space battle and they win the ground battle. What? Why would you go? I don't like regrouping the forces. I think maybe I would have done. This is so interesting. Is there some fear, like on a plan the assault? That's why you gotta crush the Nebulon. Potentially. I mean, this is a game to rewatch to be sure, because that's a lot of things to look at. Like, why would you? Why would you go all in here? I mean, there's a lot of rebel stuff on the way, but only 2 units being deployed. You deploy a Moncal, deploy a ground unit. I mean, still think it could be better by just waiting. Oh, hit the spacebar. No heal for Empire. Basically, the attackers flip to combat, or attacker's way of making it more even, because the advantage for going going second is that you get to heal. Wow, that's so interesting. I'll definitely have to ask both players on what they thought of that move. Because I definitely did not see that coming. Wow, just odd. So Star Destroyer goes down. Nebulon and a fighter or 2 also go down. But Star Destroyer has 2 damage on it, and the Rebel fleet does not. Playing to destroy some Rebel ground units. That was expected. And yeah, that's enough to clean house for the Rebel troopers. Heals for Rebels. Wow, you could see the mouse movement. I like to do that a lot. Yeah, tough roll. Better roll now with the rules. Definitely much better. Heal and a hit.
Rebels losing this ground combat, which will definitely affect them later on in the game, but in the end, space combat still won. As Empire, you need to destroy all units in the Rebel bases system. That includes space units. It's, you know, that's something a bunch of early players actually don't catch on. They think, just destroy ground units, but no, you got to get both space and ground. So, as a Rebel player, if you're ever moving units out of the base for potential lead the strike team type of ideas, um, always leave a space unit. Always use it. Or if you're ever moving things out of the base, and you're leaving ground units, always leave one Y wing. Um, the entire rebel base could be in one Y wing. No. So far, only one objective card has been scored. That being all systems rebel loyalty. I should have commented on that. 2 heals, completely wiping off any damage done to the Star Destroyer. But it is to no avail, as the rebels roll enough to destroy it. Striker card for too many ups. Striker card for Empire, and deal 2 red damage for Rebels. Only one because there's no Vanguard. Trying to take out the ADST, bold move to be sure, but could happen. Clearly not going to happen with the reroll. Preventing 2 black hits is Kecho, and just dealing some damage. This is a long, drawn out fight. I didn't expect it to go this long. Melly made the right call, saying that if it was right, I think a retreat would be much better. Yeah, to be sure. I think a retreat would be much better. Just save a couple of units, but then again, that was in the last combat. In this combat, I mean, I'm not sure why you'd make this combat happen in the first place. You should just crush rebel units and not let them have any ground stuff. But still plenty of space stuff to stay alive, and with more on the queue, not really sure. Again, just cleanup. Destroying the Corvette, or trying to destroy the Corvette. Looks like the battle has concluded, and if we zoom in here, because Ultimate is such a great mod, yeah, Empires may have destroyed all the ground units, but in the end, Rebels won the space battle. If you look in the chat, looks like they wanted to win space and ground battle, because the last space and ground battle were won. So that's another reputation scored. Didn't even comment on that. Super Star Destroyer and Address Delay. So what we were talking about earlier with not enough Imperial stuff on the queue, definitely been solved, because that's a lot of Imperial stuff on the queue. Death Star, Super Star Destroyer, and Normal Star Destroyer. No. I'll put that comment up. The Rebels do not have any ground units left. There's nothing there. definitely rough. No. It was in the last combat. So Mally clarifying on when decisive victory was scored. It was on the last combat before the Empire went all in. They just forgot to play. I mean, I do this before. This is why I don't like playing Rebels. So definitely interesting turn. 2 reputation being gained, which is not great, but plenty of Imperial stuff on the queue and Death Star 2 on the way. Yep, and as you can see in Ultimate, Darth Vader has been eliminated. So Empire is now down a leader. Okay, that's all good, Melly. We have Andor being recruited by the Rebels and Boba Fett being recruited by the Empire. Now, Boba Fett is an interesting leader. Again, I'm not sure what cards the Empire Kecho had as options, but having 2 leaders without tactic values and this being your last leader that you can recruit through the regular recruit system, yeah, that's dangerous because now you have 2 leaders that are pretty much going to have to be assigned to missions. Big fleet for Rebels coming down this game. Definitely considering where to move the base. Or sorry, I'm mistaken. Base has already been moved, unless they forgot to reveal the probe, which I think it does it automatically in Ultimate. So yeah, the base has been moved. That was just looking through the cards for Under the Radar, which is pretty decent. It can change games to be sure, but it can also just kind of sit on the side. It's kind of like Secret Facility. It can be pretty good, but it can also be pretty bad. How is it not scored, Melly? Like, was the Rebels not win both the space and the ground combat? Yeah, like it wasn't played, but the players. Yeah, you're right. You're right. 100%, 100%. I pointed that out. The players' timing was off. They just said that, hey, I wanted to play this because it didn't. I forgot to play it then. So that's just the players messing up the combat a little bit. Yeah, Under the Radar was played correct. Like they took 4 cards, they kept 1, and put the others on the top or bottom. I didn't see anything wrong with it, at least. So John's still captured. So the so sorry, my guess. John was still captured. So while the Empire is down a leader, they do have John still available for interrogation and all that, but Rebels can always just rescue John. Up to the player. Here, I'll put that comment on screen. I can actually read a little bit of Russian and speak a little. So, if yeah, I mean, it's Cyrillic language. So, yeah. So again, it was up to the place. I didn't see which ones they put on top or bottom. I'm not sure if you're supposed to see. A little bit of knowledge that needs touching up there to be sure, but I think they played it right. Lots and lots of missions for Empire. Yeah, that's a lot of missions. Even cutting down 4 missions, being down a leader, and with having 2 leaders. I mean, when you have 2 leaders that don't have tactic value, so they can't move units, it makes sense that you're going to play more. Pardon me. More missions, because you have two leaders that either just sit around and hope to block something or that have to go on a mission. So you're naturally going to play more missions, but playing more missions has always been a route deck type of thing, which I don't think I've spectated a game that played route instead of base deck. I think base deck, here, we'll get into this conversation. Base deck versus route deck, I've always been a base deck guy. I think it's just a lot more consistent, and I think that if you're playing this tournament, I mean, all you want is consistency. So I think it makes sense that players have normally chosen base deck out of the two options, to be sure. One question that I have is, should I put music in the background while I'm talking? I think it can be a little distracting. Like if you watch any of the Wombat videos or Stars Rebellion in an hour, link in the description, he doesn't normally have music in the background, which I can understand. But then again, his videos are, especially when they're cut down, more scripted. So there's like more talking going on. And he's reviewed the games and so on. So perhaps more music is a good thing. I don't know. I'll think on that one. Yeah, Jabba and Boba Fett, as leaders, not very good, especially if you're close to losing. Especially if you lost a leader with tactic guys. And looks like the missions are pretty much finalized. So 5 missions for Empire. And is Oslo on bench? Yeah, Oslo is benched. And I mean, I guess you can't lose Oslo anymore. But so that's not as much of a concern because the card to eliminate a leader has been played, but still. Okay. Also, catch them by surprise in Moncal. This has just been a game of. Wow. Okay. Anyone in chat can give me some hints on what the plan was here. I'm not sure. I mean, crush the Rebel forces, Rebel ground forces again. Yeah, Assault Carrier versus Moncal, Nebulon, and U-Wing. Who wins? I don't understand. Like, why would you? And I know the players normally rewatch their games, especially if they're streamed, because there's commentary and all that, and that's always fun. But I'm not sure why you do this. Stop the ground units? Maybe? I mean, pretty god roll from the assault carrier, and not excellent roll from the AC. So let's see what the rerolls are. And rerolls are pretty trash as well. So Empire getting lucky. And Rebels playing Yoda to see if they can get a little bit more lucky. Wow. Okay. Yoda's card played as well. And still, no cigar. Death Star close enough? I mean, I guess the Death Star is close enough to the combat to have. So again, I don't understand. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The base is on Moncal. I don't. Always one step behind, eh? There's a bit of Canadian that came out. The base is on Moncal. Okay, so the fight is happening on Moncal. But again, why would you do this if the space units are not going to die either way? So I don't see. For anyone just tuning in, base was on Kessel. Empire attacked once, and decisive victory was scored. Attacked again, and all the ground units were destroyed for rebels. Now the base has been moved to Moncal, and another all-in attack by the Empire, most likely destroying all the rebel ground units. But and the AC, I mean, just taking a Ewing and damaging a Nebulon. That's it was a pretty bad roll for rebels in space, even with Yoda. Melly's right. Here, I'll put that up. That's a good point. Um, Potentially trying to stop all the units from getting sniped in Seleucami with all the units in castle. But again, I don't. I just feel like it'd be better to just regroup with the forces. But I mean, the base is still very much alive. This has been, um, yeah, a poor Jedi he makes. Yes, Luke clearly did not learn much from Yoda. Not much of a tactical leader. Always funny that Luke is 3 space and 3 ground in his Jedi form. I mean, I don't know about that. Um, so rebels hang on with a Moncal and a Nebulon. Moving the base again. I mean, it makes sense to play Rapid again. So we'll have to see. Yeah, on the here, I'll put that up. On the positive side, we know where the base is, and it's most likely not going to move again. Or if it does, they'd have to get pretty lucky with the probes. And I'm not sure if there's much better. On the negative, the Death Star is going to have to waltz its way up to Moncal, knowing that the rebels most likely have the Death Star plans. Now, there is a lot of Imperial ships on the queue, but will that be enough to help? Doing a Rogue Squadron raid is Chewie in Bespin. Potentially lining up for a bit of a rescue on John. Maybe. Riken on Rapid as guest. Hold on. Imperial players, if you're probably thinking this, what I'm thinking, Riken has Jabba's ring. Riken is in a system with an Imperial unit. If Krennic is on Krennic's finance is on capture, then that would be one less reputation for the rebels. Now, if Kecho found this and planned to do this, then that being the capture on Riken because Riken has the ring, then that would be a pretty crazy plan. Luke is in the system to guard him, so it would be a gamble. But play another mission there, stack some units on it. Just an idea. Float it by. Lando infiltrating in Moncal, yeah, I mean, it's slowly and slowly becoming less useful. The whole Imperial unit thing kind of worked against. Riken's being treated kind of like a baby. I mean, just on the sideline, just doing rapid mobilization. Nothing too serious. The second he comes out on the board, we protect him with Luke. We protect him with Lando. And as I guess, capture on Chewie. So I think, I mean, well played to Kecho. I think he was thinking about capturing Riken. So well played thinking about that, but looks like, I mean, if Chewie is captured or if Chewie is not captured, either way, still have a captured leader in John. And if an interrogation is next up with Boba, perhaps that was the idea with the finest capture, Krennic's finest capture, just to reinforce on future missions. Now, interesting from the Empire is that there's no real units in the area to blitz Mon Cal. So it looks like Chewie was captured. And John was sent back to the base. Interesting, yeah. No real units in Mon Cal's area other than the Death Star 2, which is going to be attacked by single reactor ignition. So, or not some, it's not single reactor ignition. By the Death Star plans card. So, regarding the Imperial action cards, starting action cards, one of them was Palpy's, the other one is maybe Vader's, maybe Taj's. Like those are cards that are rarely played, or if they are played, they're played later in the game. Okay. Stack asking a question. Let's hopefully I can answer it, or maybe chat can help out. Wow, Kecho just making prediction plays not only in the game, but in the chat as well. So hmm. Yeah, so what he was wondering was, can he play Chewie's card to stop a capture? Looks like secret mission from Rebels. Not fun if you're playing Empire, especially since I think Andor was on it. No, yeah, Andor was on it. So not great, especially with Andor. Just, I mean, so many Rebel mission cards just feel so good. Whereas when you're playing Empire, there's just so many cards that are just could just be not useful at all. Yeah, there is the interrogation mission being retrieve the plans. So I guess that's the plan. Capture Chewie. I'm not really sure what Chewie would say about the Death Star plans. I mean, I don't think it's approved for that level. I think too classified. But um, stop the rebels from having the plans is the idea. so that Death Star 2 can make it. Leia considering blocking. Looks like it. And looks like that is a successful mission for the Empire. Um, the Death Star plans will be secure. I guess we can take a look at them. So no Death Star plans, actually. That's a big moment. These are the objective cards. Pause as you wish. Yeah, I think Kecho is expecting the Death Star plans, but again, Death Star plans when level 2 objective cards roll around is just theoretical. Potentially they skipped on them, and if they did skip on them, that was a very good play, intentional or unintentional, because now Death Star 2 is insecure, and without something like secure the plans or at least an interdictor to defend it, it's going to be an issue. Only about an hour 20 into the game, and pretty crazy so far. Like, one thing, if I have to comment something about this game, that I would do differently as an Imperial player, I'm pretty conservative. I don't want to just throw my forces at things and hope. That's for the rebels to do. Um, so a lot of the time I'll try to consolidate to my demise sometimes, but um, sometimes it is better to go all out. But I think that this game I would have chosen to consolidate the forces, then strike the base. But again, more rebel stuff on the cubes. Potentially that was the right move. I don't know if staying on Moncal is the play. Because you can't deploy on Moncal. You can deploy in Seleucami, but you can't deploy on Moncal. I mean, Empire doesn't have enough stuff. Like, if the Superstar Destroyer and Star Destroyer were next up, Felucia attack Moncal, good game. But that's not what's on the queue, so it'll be interesting to see if Rebels choose to move base or not. Yeah, deploy in Seleucami. Still looking at the um, rapid. And base stays as Moncal. Interesting. Um, yeah, base stays as Moncal. So, I mean, plenty of chance that the base, there were no good options to move the base. So, it makes sense that it would stay on Moncal, but now the Death Star 2 is en route. But the fastest it can get there is 3 turns. 1, 2, 3. And with the Death Star being unprotected, since Death Star plans could have been that card that went into their hand right now. And with Rebels not having played Plan the Assault yet, both Death Stars are open to strike. Although I think after the Death Star 2 leaves the safety of Dathomir, it'd be much better to move it there. Or to attack the Death Star on Dathomir. Big deployment this turn. I think is the Superstar Destroyer this turn? No, the Superstar Destroyer is next turn. But still, the Death Star coming down and a bunch of assault carriers and a shield bunker. So is the plan to kind of build the shield bunker path towards Moncal? Potentially. Some deployment in Felucia. Understandable. And fleet in Alderaan being not only built up, but moving towards. I mean, this is one of those games where Rebels just bunker down. They pick a base, they bunker down, and the Empire just has to come with everything they have, but it may not be enough. And in this game, I think it's one of those that it's just either the Death Star blows up and, lots of reputation lost, and you're not going to get Moncal, or, um, or of course, there's a chance that the Empire win. Right now, I would hedge my bets on a Rebel victory. I think this is one of the things we discussed about later, or in a previous game, was when you play Rebels, you should expect the base to move. the base is 100% going to move at some point in the game. You should never just bunker down and um, let the Empire trip into your base and then just wait for them to come. You're going to have to move the base. And the base was moved in this game. It's just the bunkering down starts happening later on. But one thing is rebels is rapid mobilization is one of your keys to victory because base is going to run around. That's why cards like Under the Radar, which we saw played here, and any cards like Rapid Mobilization playing it, even if you're not planning on moving the base, which allow you to see the probe cards. Um, it's one of the reasons why Rapid Mobilization is often played so often. It's to make sure that when you're ready to move that base, that you can move it to a good spot. As we saw on the previous Rapid Mobilization, um, Stack got options for the base, but clearly none of them were good enough. So he remained in Moncal. Next move for Empire is obviously regroup the forces from Deathmere and Alderaan into Mandalore. And secure any planets that you don't have probe cards for. That's that's the general move when we get into this mid to late game phase for Empire. Again, if you want to look at planning, of course, after this stream, you can take a look at the description. There's a link for Wombat's channel. I watched the full video of his last game against Nico. That was very, very good for watching how Imperial players think when they plan on where they're moving. Even early on, he had a lot of the general idea. And obviously, as an Imperial player, you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to change based on what the rebels do, depending on where they strike, what fleet is more weakened, what moves they're making. Do you think it'd be better to move to Tatooine or Ryloth first because they're based on Tatooine? But if we go to Tatooine and learn that the base is there, then we're not going to have deployment. What if they attack? Like, there's so many things to consider as Empire. That's why I think someone posted in the Discord, which join it if you haven't already. Um, it's like when you're a beginner playing this game, the um, like two beginners playing against each other, the rebels are most likely to win. When two intermediate players are playing against each other, the empire is most likely to win. More likely, of course. And when you have two uh, uh, master, I guess you could call it, players playing each other, it's a lot more split. But I'd give it more to rebels. It's for rebels. It's just often less chance involved. A lot of the great imperial plays that you see are done because dice were rolled properly. That's the big joke in the community. Star Wars Rebellion is just a game of dice. It's a coin toss. All jokes, of course. Lots and lots of missions for Empire. I mean, it's worked surprisingly well, a lot better than I thought it would have, but I can't help but feel that this is a unnecessary amount of missions, and maybe they're listening. Maybe they heard me. Rebels grouping the fleet up in Silukmai. makes sense preparing for the Imperial attack. And I was right about the bunker play, kind of just building bunkers to protect the Death Star. So there is a bunker in Mandalore. I'm expecting a move to Mantor with the Dathomir fleet and the Alderaan fleet. Obviously, having a bit of the battle here, a bit of a battle here in Saleucami. Yeah, I can't help but feel that Empire is getting a little bit wrong comment. A little bit desperate. One assault carrier attacking not only two Moncals, but two Corvettes and an X-Wing and a Y-Wing, like a full package. I mean, ballsy to be sure. I can say that on YouTube, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah. So if you look in the chat, it's a bit covered because of the cards. You can retreat if there are ground units. So in this situation, rebels can most definitely retreat. This is something that you pick up a little bit later on, or at least I picked up a little bit later on. You can still retreat after if there are still ground units in the system, enemy ground units. Yeah, that makes sense. Just blocking some fighter deployment, because this is why you need to have ground units so you can reinforce um, with loyalty. So can't leave the system blockaded. Suspecting a lure to the dark side is Stack. Definitely a concern right now. I mean, Rebel reputation can tick up a lot. Once you get past that mid-game portion of it, I mean, the objective cards just become so much easier to score. So, um, definitely something to pay attention to. So, quick recap. We just had a battle on Saleucami, which was one assault carrier versus two Moncals. It didn't go too well, believe it or not. Um, Empire definitely getting a little desperate, but as someone in chat mentioned, it made sense to attack Saleucami to block any deployment. So rebels have a nice fleet, no doubt, but they can't reinforce the fleet, which is again why you need ground units. So base move incoming, probably. I think Ryloth or Tatooine would be ideal places right now for the base, just far from any Imperial reach, at least for now. But potentially you wait until more Imperial forces arrive, and then you move the base. No. So if if ground units are left in the system, enemy ground units are left in the system, you can still retreat. This applies to both sides. I think we talked about that recently in the rules clarification in the Discord, I think. If you have any questions about the rules, definitely go there. Infiltration early on, pretty standard play. A lot of players prefer to play Ratmo because it's basically like a skip turn thing because it's so standard, so expected. especially with Riken having post bounty, you can almost guarantee that Riken is going to be on rapid mobilization every single turn because you can't risk losing him. Death Star 1. Actually, no, not Death Star 1. AC going to Kecho, probably just cutting off any potential base moves. But again, that wasn't really a base move. But I get solidifying, getting more units is Kecho. Building alliance in Bespin. Potential base move, I guess. And Jabba running propaganda. Yeah. So no rebel loyalty. No rebel loyalty in the Moncal system. That's to be sure. Yeah. So you can't retreat to a system with. Wait, hold on. That's a good point. Yeah, I should point that out. I mean, I'm not sure what the players could do, but you can't. You're right. You can't retreat to a system with Imperial units. Hold on. Let's see how players decide. Because obviously both players will say, "Fine, it's an okay move." Then it's up to the players. Thank you for the. After Doobs left the game, it becomes like on me to regulate all this and like to make sure that all the rules are being followed. But sometimes I can feel like chat is doing a better job than me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Believe it or not, Star Wars Rebellion commentary, definitely try it. It can get pretty difficult because, I mean, in game when you're playing, there's so many things to think. If I'm recording, I could talk for like if I'm recording as a player, I could probably talk for a decent while. But then again, when you're playing, you're trying to focus on all these things. Um, yeah. But I guess that's why we have chat to help with the rules. Um, but organizing it and all that is fun. Which, by the way, Spoonwise, because like I would get Discord messages like during the stream, but I'm not checking it right now. Like I have enough monitors open right now. So we'll definitely have to do the brackets, and hopefully I didn't miss any games and send the update like we've had this game, so on. But yeah, capturing Luke. Yeah. So the reason the retreat was so helpful was capturing Luke. Well, I guess you could have still done it in Moncal because the AT-AT was there, but now Lure of the Dark Side is definitely en route. I think we can all guess what PiotrB's on. Wow. Brutal. Brutal. Yep. Lure of the Dark Side is every single skill icon. Which, by the way, just to remove the comment, check out Spoonwise's channel in the description. He has a couple of games there as well. I believe some have. I think most of them have commentary. There might be one that doesn't, but those are a lot of the other games. I think Wombat also has a game. His game against Nico. So definitely check that out. The game is labeled. I can't remember what game we're on because I didn't put in the thumbnail or in the title. But this is like game 20 something, and that's just the order of the games that because we have to number each game, but they can be played out of order. It's more so the rounds that we want to play in order. You know, something we should try, and I'm just kind of yapping here, trying to keep the engagement going. Having two commentators at the same time for one stream. No, but definitely still watch the games, even though the commentary. I mean, I know today we live in a bit of a world where like um short attention span kind of thing. I definitely have it. So when commentary stops, it can get like when I stop talking, I can see the viewer count dropping. That's why I miss a lot of the things. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat. I'm trying to talk about something. So lots of things to pay attention. That's why I can normally miss out on a lot of the rules. Like on that retreat thing, I should have definitely caught that on, but I didn't. But luckily, someone else did. So Palpy on lure. I mean, it'd be pretty ironic if Palpy wasn't on lure, but I mean, at this point, with all this planning, I think it makes a lot of sense that he would be. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Lure of the Dark Side. Let's see this roll. This is a big one. I believe it's, if not max, like close to max dice for both players. Yeah. Sorry. We'll see how this goes. No sweat. And the Rebels lose one reputation because Luke had some dark side ideals. So as I was saying before, Lord of the Dark Side came out. Yeah, definitely a co-commentating, two commentators on a game would definitely be much more fun because like one of us goes blank, then the other one starts talking. So Spoonwise and myself will definitely discuss that. Yeah, that's one of the issues that I have with Luke. I mean, I think Luke, especially with Yoda in hand, or at least, I mean, we can assume that it was in hand, was the right play, but Luke can always be an issue because Lord of the Dark Side is just can be so crazy and so devastating. Losing reputation in this game as Rebels is game changing to say the least. And with already a potential reputation loss in Riken having the bounty ring, you don't want any other factors. So maybe not recruiting Luke was the right play. But then again, we don't know what other options for leaders they had. Yeah, double point losing reputation definitely helps Empire here. Um, delays the rebel victory, but Death Star plans most definitely secured. So I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what the play is here. Death Star has to head over to Moncal to laser it, or not even to laser. More so, perhaps not even moving the Death Star is the play, because just keeping it under the bunker. Because all you have to do is defeat the space units, since there aren't any ground units in Moncal. But no Ratmo for Rebels. Clearly, no good planets. I mean, we're not sure what the probes are, um, but um, yeah, we're not sure what the probes are. So maybe there really aren't any options, and the plan is just hope and pray in Moncal. Yeah, Yoda Ring and Dodonna works, but sometimes it's hard to resist the temptation when you draw Luke and draw Yoda, or have Yoda in hand. It can be quite tempting. So, although Empire was down on leaders, they are back and better than ever with Darth Luke, replacing Vader, ironically. Stretching out this game for a while, so it's been about almost 2 hours now. So, um, yeah, Death Star is point of contention. I don't think the play is to move the Death Star to Silicamai, but again, there are only two fighters, and there's nowhere to deploy units for rebels, so maybe the Death Star is more safe than I'm thinking. I always worry about the Death Star. Like, I see rebel units near it, it's like, yep, Death Star under threat. But yeah, you've got to remind yourself as you play Empire that the only thing that threaten the Death Star are the fighters. If there aren't any or not many fighters, um, and no rebel loyal systems in the area, so no ways to deploy, then um, it's not as much of a concern. The Death Star security, that is. I'll put that comment up just to point out um, the flaws with Ultimate Mod. Um, yeah, there's two fighters in Seleucami. Um, so yeah, the Searchers can move first and kill, or you can just play it a little bit risky. I think it's unlikely that the fighters don't die on turn one if you target them, but with these rolls, you never really know. But Ultimate treating us very well. Can't see anything on the board. Smile. Getting Luke as a 3/3 leader, very, very good for Empire. I mean, this game is much less in favor for Rebels, I'd say. Much less in their favor. And in fact, yeah, I'd say this is definitely looking like an Imperial win so far. Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. The Nebula, I can't even see it because it just blends in with Hoth. Nebulon just sitting on Hoth, maybe grabbing a coffee, tea. I've always been more of a tea person. I doubt that's a potential base location, but who knows? How did it? Yeah, that's a good point. How did that Nebulon get there? That's something to here. Let me go back in the stream. Um, Here, I'm close. How did that Nebulon get there? Oh, Lando hidden fleeted. Use a hidden fleet to get there. Yeah, just skip back to see that. Interesting. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss anything. I was scanning another screen. Um, what could I have missed? Yeah, rebel units just sitting on the build queue, but they can't really do anything. Because there's nowhere to deploy. This has just been such an odd game. So nobody on the ground likes the rebels, or at least they're being subjugated and forced not to like the rebels. So the rebels are just relaxing in space. I mean, I've got to say, um, despite the doubts I might have had, and if Kecho is rewatching the stream, despite the doubts I had with the Death Star 2, very, very well played. Um, Somehow Kecho made it work. I normally don't like Death Star 2. I think it's a cool idea to have a second one. I think that if you can pull it off, it's good. But general, especially in tournament games, Death Star 2 can be quite concerning. But made it work. Looks like they changed the Imperial unit color. I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't play Ultimate. Dubes is back in the game. Not sure how long he's been there for. Um, Looks like somewhat recently. So um, he can moderate us now, make sure that nothing is missing. A couple things. There were a couple things that we did miss if he's watching the stream, but overall we did correct them. Boba Fett with you can't. Oh my goodness, blanking. This is why we need two commentators. You can't oppose missions basically, or no, that's a different one. Rebel leaders can't attempt missions in um, Moncal. Yeah, Dubes is right. It doesn't stop a resolve mission because they can't attempt missions. You don't attempt resolve missions. It's all about the wording in this game. Um, so thank you to Dubes for pointing that out. Jabba with a rule by fear investment. Melly, to your comment, risky. That's what I call it. I mean, today for Kecho, the Imperial place has been throw Imperial units at the rebels, and it has worked surprisingly well, I must say. Um, but I maybe as a last ditch effort. I mean, right now, I definitely say the game is in favor of. Um, uh, I shouldn't call it. Jupe sent me a message. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna hold it back on the ultimate comments, but like, I mean, as Melly mentioned, she couldn't tell that there were fighters in Silkma. It is so hard to tell where anything is on this mod. That's just why I don't have a problem with it being more scripted. I think it's much better if it's more scripted because then it lowers the time. I mean, if this was played on Extender, it would definitely go by a little bit slower. But then again, the players have no idea what where the units are, how many units there are. You just have to squint to see. And I mean, that's why I don't zoom in like that on Mandalore because the stream lags. I can move the mouse and everything, and it's fine. But for whatever reason, the stream lags. But the audio is fine. That's other thing. Um, but you can't tell where the units are. I mean, come on. until they fix the unit sizes of this game, in Ultimate, I don't think I can. I don't think I can play Ultimate. Like for the tournament especially, I'd love to try Ultimate on a side thing, like not involving the tournament, just as a fun game. But it's just too confusing. But moving on. So, Rebel forces coming back to Moncal. This is basically hunker down and hope for the best. Yeah, not sure what the Nebulon idea is on Hoth. Definitely a good question. Question to be had. Two leaders on a mission. Riken being one of those. Rapid mobilization. Rebels. I mean, you need to move the base in this situation. This you can't. Death Star 2 on the way. Super Star Destroyer on the way. The base has to move. It has to move. And right now, we need as many options as possible. Potentially, the Nebulon was to cover a Hoth base. Maybe there was an early rapid. Can I check how many? Yeah, 7 probe cards. So if um, Stack saw that there was Hoth in an early rapid that he played, then maybe that's the idea behind this rapid mobilization. Find Hoth, move to Hoth. But is Hoth the best choice? I don't know. Maybe right now the maybe the move would be to attack Bestman and cut that off, but then again, there aren't any rebel leaders in the leader pool. So is Bestman really the move? And Tatooine and Ryloth will not work as other base locations because the Star Destroyer genuses. Ryloth potentially might work. There's oh my goodness, I can't see what units are here. Y-wing, U-wing, transport, and I mean, decent amount of units. Definitely a lot better than Hoth would be, I think, because of the deployment. But Ryloth would be obviously an obvious base location. Maybe that's another like polls are funky to put up. Here I'll try. Even though we don't have too many players, maybe I'll try to do a poll. Hopefully, I don't miss something. Um, Here, just put up a poll. Hopefully it comes out. Hopefully I didn't make any spelling mistakes. Yeah, polls can be a bit weird on YouTube. Not sure that's something I want to get into. YouTube can be a bit frustrating in general. But yeah, which version of the game do you prefer to play as? Or do you prefer to play? Personally, I've always liked Xander because it's easy to see units. I've complained about that too many times this stream, more than I should. Rebels with the trade negotiations won't affect the game too much. Where is Mynameisstack? Mynameisstack is in Nahad. Okay, so I guess reinforcements there, but there have just been again I can't tell what units are here, but there have just been plenty of rebel units sitting on the queue anyway. So will this really be a much help? Not sure. Yeah, ultimate is also the ultimate mod is also a lot more demanding when it comes to um, speed. Like I hope you can't hear, but my PC is a little bit. The fans are definitely worrying. And the whole fleet moving up to Salukmai. Interesting. I mean, not. I mean, it's makes sense that that's the plan. Push towards Moncal. The rebels are planning, obviously, with the hidden fleet move to Tatooine. The base is going to be either on Tatooine or on Ryloth. This has just been a very, very up and down game when it comes to the base being on Mandalore and the Empire very clearly winning. Now the base is moving to Tatooine or Ryloth. So is the Empire really winning? I don't know. This is just a whole bluff. Is the Tatooine and Ryloth even options? As Kecho said, this is where the fun begins. There we go. Plant false leads. One of the reasons why base is also so good is this card. Get it out of jail free card. That's what I'd call it. Now there is just a garden of opportunity for where the base can move thanks to plant false lead. It's not really planting a false lead. I mean, there's so many cards in this game that sometimes you ask, is this really how it's intended to be? Because it's not planting a false lead. It's another option to move the base. So definitely still a gamble. But yeah, sorry if my commentary hasn't been up to par. Like this game has been pretty intense with all the different moves everywhere, with the Kessel to Moncal, then the ground units not working out, the Death Star 2 being built, pushing up to Moncal. Now the Rebels are like, let's get out of here. I mean, this game has just been a roller coaster. One of the terrible things about lore is not only do you lose a reputation, give the Imperial player a leader, but you also lose one of your leaders. Lure can just be so devastating, and the impact can be minimized by not having Luke, but I think it's quite limiting to say just don't recruit Luke in general, because I think there are plenty of times where having Luke could be very good, but um, it's all based on the cards that you're going to have. Death Star 1 moving. It's so odd to say Death Star 1 because like you normally don't get two Death Stars in tournament matches, especially. But Death Star 1 moving to Rhodia with Ozzel. And both, wow, capture game to be sure. I mean, this game has it all: capture, interrogation, crazy space battles. Yeah, this game has had it all. Capture, you can see on the side with the dice rolls, and looks like the capture succeeded. Good rolls. If we're talking about the rolls overall, I'd say this has been very good rolls for Empire. Obviously, some good. Oh no, obviously some good rebel rolls, but carbon freezing. This is another place where we're gonna need good rolls, and I think they're gonna get it. Yes, sending Stack back to the Stone Age is Kecho. Yep. I mean, think right now about all the cards that the Empire has to lower rebel reputation. Believe it or not, there aren't many, but I think a lot of them have been played in this game. Wow. If not successfully played. Yeah, I think Spoonwise is right. I think this might be a 17 round game. You know, I still have I still have dinner to eat, preferably, um, an essay to write. So hopefully it's not a 17 round game. Sorry, it can't even be 17 rounds. It caps out at 16. Uh, yep, just can't. If we look over to the left, just canceling out the objective cards. 3 rebel objective cards, 2. I mean, odd to say this, they don't really have a name, but imperial cards that lower the reputation for the rebels. Yep, definitely. I mean, this game has been just so up and down. Yeah, but like Spoonwise, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can't drop below 16. Anti-ejectives. That's a good name. Maybe maybe we should put that in writing. Anti-ejectives. Good name. I don't think you can drop below 16 reputation. The Galaxy can't think any less of the Rebels. Look at the bottom left. Yeah, the Nebulon in Naboo or in Hoth is definitely needed right now. We're sent on a nice vacation, but yeah, we need you to come back. Lots of deployment for both players. I mean, obviously not many options for the rebels to deploy into different places. Ryloth, Tatooine, really the only options. Um, or now, I mean, Nalhada, sure, but and important thing to note, the base has indeed moved. So obviously, speculation being Ryloth or Tatooine. Death Star in Rhodia, and okay fleet in Geonosis, I'd say. A long game to be sure. Um, we're on turn 8. I wouldn't say most games get past. I mean, maybe I've played Dubes too many times, but I think we end around turn eight, between turn 7 and 9. I'd say is the time to end. But maybe I need to touch up my Imperial skills. Definitely should get around to playing more just practice games. My next game is actually tomorrow. I think I mentioned it at the beginning. I should be recording it. I don't think someone will be able to stream. Maybe I'd commentary to the end, but justifying some of my decisions in that game could be difficult. Could definitely be difficult. Just a bit of deployment for both players. Enhance because Ultimate is so great at showing the units. This is the point of contention right now. Rail base, how's the rail base stacking up? Just a speeder and a trooper, so I mean, if the base is on Ryloth, definitely in favor for the um for rebels. If the base on Tatooine, more in favor for the Empire, especially considering that there's only one X-wing there. I mean, one X-wing versus Death Star. Who wins? I think the Death Star would probably win that. Still can't get over anti-ejectives. That's pretty good. Anti-ejectives. Lots of missions. I mean, I comment on this every single time that Kecho plays. Lots of missions, but the missions have worked out. The missions have worked out to be sure, and brilliant tacticians on the table, being Palpy and Luke, but also less so. But keeping the good tactic leaders ready to fight. Guessing Luke going to attack Ryloth, and Palpy towards Tatooine. Uh, definitely possibility. Definitely a possibility. Some of the later objective cards as Empire. One of the like, if you watch Wombat, I think he had a video where he talked about some of like the key Imperial. We should make a doc for it with all the like key Imperial rules. Is to stop level 1 objective cards. When you get into the level 2s and level 3s, it becomes a lot less predictable, and it's a lot easier for the rebels to score. So still can definitely stop them. Lando with a bit of a fight in Geonosis. This tells me that the base is in Ryloth, to be sure, because you wouldn't evacuate the Tatooine forces. I think you still move to Tatooine as Empire to bring the forces in Bothawi there as well. Here comes the big fight over Geonosis. Oh, okay. Don't know why I did that. I mean, clearly Rebel victory. Most likely to score an objective card, either, as someone in chat mentioned, either 3 space damage or Raid Imperial Factory, or just Raid Factory. Flipping the combat and the Mon Cal card. Mon Cal card is one of the reasons why Mon Cals are so much more powerful than Star Destroyers. The Star Destroyer card is a not a like attacking or defensive card, to be sure. Like, just look, it's like capture the leader if you destroy. It's similar to the Rebel kill the leader card, but in space and for capture instead. But that's besides the point. The point is that the Mon Cal card is very powerful. Playing an additional card, any card that allows you to not only this card allows you to prevent 2 red hits and play an additional card. The interdictor card, and why interdictors are so good, is cancel the rebel tactic card, so they don't get to do anything, and play an additional card. That's why it's one of the best defenses for the Death Star against a Nebulon strike. But we don't have to get into that since no interdictors. Really ensuring that the assault carrier goes down here. I think a little bit too much. I think 3 would have been plenty. This again, quick recap, because like when you watch these streams, especially this one, since it's gonna be at this point, it's what 2 hours and 20 minutes long, so it's gonna be a long one. Recap: base is most likely on Ryloth, um, and trying to score an objective card is stack. This has been a very very close game, um, with crazy different moves. I mean, this just makes me want to um, cut down the game, turn it into a video, and re-comment all it. But I mean, that takes so much time. Unbelievable amount of time. And let's see what the objective card was. Yeah, Raid Imperial Factory. As expected. Well predicted by chat. So minimizing the anti-objectives. Also moving to Nelhada, potential base location, I guess. So must check for it. Imagine if the base is here all this time. One, I mean, it's so hard to see, but no, the base is not here. Using Y-wings to harass, quite frankly, assault carriers is one of the key rebel things. Dubes does it very, very well, and I always get mad at it. Basically, the deal two damage card, 2 red damage that is, with the Y-wing, it can really destroy assault carriers. And I mean, Y-wing versus assault carrier, you expect assault carrier might win, but with that card, no. I mean, obviously that card has already been played, so not a concern in this fight. But just thought I'd throw that out there. Imperial victory over Nahalda. A small victory to be sure, but a necessary one, I guess. I'm guessing Death Star and Tatooine, Death Star and Both will be forced into Tatooine. I mean, this game has been, like I said, up and down. I can't help but feel that the next move is towards, or sorry, that the Rebels are going to win this game right now. Obviously not right now. Oh my goodness, it's getting late. Okay, I shouldn't be this tired, but I think that the Rebel victory. I mean, I can't tell what ships are here. Okay, we got 2 X-wings. So maybe not as evident of a victory as I first thought, but because the Death Star isn't as big of a target, but still definitely under threat. And with yeah, right now I definitely place my bets on a Rebel victory. Counting into the additional forces that are going to be deployed next turn, and what the Imperial forces are going to be. So yeah, standard, just moving to Tatooine. I think that this will be a Rebel victory, but oh my, I mean, I've doubted myself very often. Okay, hold on. No base, or no Death Star towards Tatooine. I mean, I guess that makes more sense. The Death Star goes towards Geonosis, and then we attack on Ryloth, force the rebels to retreat. But throwing the Death Star at Geonosis is a concern, to say the least. Okay, hold on. Secure the plans. This is quite something. Um, so there were some reinforcements for the base, luckily for the rebels, base defenses, which is going to make it a lot harder. But if the Death Star just lasers Ryloth, the base defense isn't going to be much of help. I don't think the ion cannon can really destroy or affect the Death Star. Interesting. What if the Death Star was in Empire Strikes Back? Okay, fight in Geonosis. Here you got to destroy the TIE fighters or the X-wings. Yeah, the TIE fighters have to destroy the X-wings. That's the only way to save the Death Star from being destroyed. Oh my goodness, I need to cut things to stream up. Secure the Plans has been played. There is no concern about the X-wings destroying the Death Star. Right now, the rebel goal is to not lose any ships, and get out of there. Right now, there's only a few ways that the rebels win. So again, doubting myself. Um, you got to take out secure the plans. If you even want a shot at winning this game, the Death Star has to go down, no matter what. Very good role for Empire. Decent role for Rebels. I mean, again, there's not much the Rebels can do with their role other than take out the TIE fighters. But if the Death Star is invincible, then that doesn't matter. In my previous game, I Secure the Plans was also played, which is one of the reasons why my base on Ilum was lasered uh, without any force back, is because secure the plans. So, as expected, stack retreats. Towards Ryloth. Next turn is the Death Star waltz towards Ryloth. By itself, by the way, the Death Star does not have any fighter support, despite how difficult it may be to see on Geonosis. The Death Star does not have any support. No, I don't think Track Them is played. I think it's more of like Vader or Taj's card. Although, I mean, if Track Them is played, wow, Mon Mothma with the last diplomatic stance. Potentially talk with the Geonosians. This is for the real Star Wars fans out there. Geonos is odd planet to put in the game because, and maybe they didn't know this when the game was made, but like Geonosis was bad things happened to the Geonosians during the construction of the Death Star, let's say, and there shouldn't be many of them. But that's besides the point. Yeah, so no track them. So the game doesn't end this turn, but next turn, pretty certain. And Boba Fett just throw out a capture. Why not? Chewie's card being played, I mean, may as well play it at some point. And this appears to be the final turn for the Rebels. Unless the base is somewhere other than Ryloth, Death Star is going to move to Ryloth and laser it away. Yeah, very good cards for Empire to be sure. Very, very good cards. Yes, Kecho with the deep analysis. Yes, the base goes kaboom. And Stack not resigning yet. Just one last fight. One last fight. I mean, obviously, assuming that uh, Kecho has laser, which I mean, this whole plan wouldn't really work out if there wasn't a laser. 2 hours and 30 minutes. This game going for. Um, Honestly, not as long as I expected, but definitely very intense. Yeah, we're reaching like the all-time peak of um, people watching, and it's in the last few minutes of the game. So yes, for anyone tuning in right now, it looks like this is the last turn of the game. Base most likely in Rylov. Death Star coming over. Secure the plans has kept the Death Star secure, so no concern there. Um, Laser presumably on the way. While both players are just finishing up, um, looks like the poll got 6 votes for which version players prefer, and Extender was 67%. Honestly, not as much as I thought it would be. I thought it would be more decisive, but I can't forget that there are a lot of players who do like to play on Ultimate. Stack saying that there might be a play. Yeah, both Death Stars are secured. And this isn't even the Death Star 2. The Death Star 2 was just a scare tactic. The Death Star 1 is the one that's actually going to destroy the Rebel forces. And I mean, Scarif was pretty well guarded if you watch Rogue One. This isn't much of a Scarif, really. Stormtrooper and a assault carrier. I mean, Stack saying that there might be a play. I didn't recheck completely. No, remote systems are remote systems are not Imperial systems. Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. Yeah, remote systems are not Imperial systems. The remote systems are they're just remote systems. There's nothing to them. Last little spark of hope. Yeah, so to remove um, target markers on the board, you've got to kill all ground units. Yep, it's a sad way of putting it, but naked Death Star by itself just gonna laser the base. Uh, plan the assault? Question mark. Plan the assault doesn't to remove the target marker. The target marker is kind of like a unit that doesn't have any health on it. So if there aren't any Imperial units, then it's removed. Yeah, I don't think that plan the assault is the plan. Look how great ultimate is. It didn't move the target marker. Yeah, so the only play I see here is Ewing card literally pulling a Rogue One, just like the movie. But if the Ewing dies, won't matter. Now, no heals, but there's a chance. Don't be fooled. 1 in 6 chance for a heal. Let's see. And no. The Death Star is secure. Yeah. Rip, 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 rip. And despite a Rogue One attempt on Ilum, the Death Star is moving in to Ryloth. Luke is there. The Rebel troopers, they look up into the sky. The meatball. I've heard the Death Star be called a lot of things. Meatball is new. This combat, I mean, there's not much to comment on the combat. Death Star going to wipe things out, clean the floor. As soon as the space units are wiped out, next mission is laser. Now, which one is it? Which one is it? Place your bets. Taj or Tarkin? Looks like it's Taj. Yeah. Yeah. I think Rebels need to play one mission before laser can be played, though. A hit and run in Kecho. Very well. And lasering Ryloth. And that's how this game is going to end. Spoonwise is right. 2 Death Stars. Darth Luke and a Super Laser. Don't forget the Super Star Destroyer as well. And the Carbonite Freezing to bring to us a game to behold. This game has been very up and down. Yeah, if I can't zoom in on the chat, but you can look over there. Try to keep it open. Um, yeah, so many small things in this game. Um, anyone just tuning in for the last few seconds, which if you haven't, why wouldn't you watch the whole video? Um, all jokes, but we do have a or an imperial victory, sorry, with Kecho taking the win. Yeah, Kecho playing imperial bingo. Um, thank you for the good luck from Spoonwise. Yes, I will be having my game um tomorrow against Melly. I will record it if there isn't anyone to stream and then post it later. The commentary, I mean, I don't know if I will even will try to commentate because this will be an elimination game. So um just want to, sustain it. Um I'll let both of them talk it out. It's getting close to dinner time for me. But here, I'll leave the chat open for a little bit. This stream has been really fun. Thank you to everyone for watching. Uh, go in the description to different channels such as Spoonwise and Wombat to see other games. And for any contestants watching, um, the time, hopefully I can stream your games. Um, but other than that, I hope to see some of you guys in future streams.